Good afternoon. I'm Dave Adams with Pike Soil and Water, and we're here this afternoon with Jeff and Candy Chattin to commemorate National Ag Day and Ag Week and to talk to him a little bit about his farm. So Jeff, tell us a little bit about your farming operation.
Well, thank you, Dave. This farm right here that we're presently on has been in my wife's family since 1950. Candy and I have been here on this farm for 36 years this summer. We bought it 36 years ago. And we at one time ran a pretty good sized grain operation. Today it looks somewhat different. We have over 200 acres in the CREP program, which is we grow contract grass for the government. That's a conservation program. And we also have some grain ground that we rent out to a neighbor, and then we have the balance in hay and pasture. We have some beef cattle. Our farm's evolved quite a bit over the last 13 years. 13 years ago is when we stopped the grain production ourselves. Of course, we worked off the farm too. Candy and I both have been involved in construction. We're actually retired from the ready mix concrete business, and she currently works in the county office, and I'm a county commissioner.
Jeff is also a past member of the Soil and Water Board. I think he served on 3 terms there, Jeff.
That's correct.
And the County Planning Commission. So,
Yes.
What got you interested in the very beginning to become a farmer?
Well, I go back to 1961. My grandfathers were both farmers and businessmen. They had other business interests too, but my grandpa Chattin brought me an orphan heifer calf, 1961. That's the beginning of the farming operation for me. And from that, I raised a herd of Angus cows, had some hogs, maintained the livestock through high school. And then as soon as I graduated, I went out and rented a farm and started grain farming.
Wow.
So that was a long time ago. And grain farmed for 33 consecutive years. And our last year grain farming was 07. I enjoyed every minute of it. I'm just so glad, feel so fortunate that we got to do that. I just loved every minute of it. Our son got to grow up in that environment, and he helped, and it's just been a really good experience for all of us.
So you got a lot of years farming, all kinds of different operations. If someone was to come to you now, new, and say, I'm thinking about getting into the farming business, what would you have to say?
Well, when I looked at it, a lot of folks said, oh, you can't do that, and that's not true. I think you can do it. If you set your mind to it, you're going to have to make realistic steps. Farming is a capital intensive business. It's tough, especially if you try to buy land, buy this big equipment. It's very expensive. So you're going to have a realistic target starting. And you're also going to have a lot of perseverance, because there's going to be a lot of setbacks in agriculture. I don't care whether you're dealing with livestock, crops, whatever it is, you've got to have risk management. And that's the biggest thing I tell people. Candy and I have always managed our risk through crop insurance, through diversity, different things, because like I say, there will be times when there'll be setbacks.
Well, since we're here with Soil and Water, what are some of the conservation practices that you've done on your farms?
Well, we go back to 1980. That's when we bought our first no-till corn planter. We knew there was a need. We saw erosion. We were farming with moldboard plows, and back then, of course, we powdered the ground because we used we incorporated herbicides to control weeds. And it was just, if you got a big rain, when you got that ground powdered, especially in the western part of the county where we started out farming, it just washed. It was terrible. Yeah. So in 1980, we invested in a no-till planter. Then 1991, we bought a no-till bean and wheat drill, which is another big step.
What's a day for you, a day of your life on the farm today?
Well, for me, it starts with chores. Go out, check my livestock. We have cattle on our farm, and we operate a farm up the road, about 100 acres up there. So the first thing you have to do is take care of your animals, especially during the winter. Times are bad, bad weather. And then typically the rest of the day I'll spend doing maintenance, or working out on the farm, doing maintenance in the shop sometimes. But I also serving as county commissioner. That gives me another avenue for me to spend my time on.
Seems like the more equipment you have, the more maintenance you got to do.
Oh yeah, back in the day when we had our grain operation going full blown, there was me and another fellow. We spent the winter in that shop just going over every nut and bolt of every piece of equipment, because when it's go time, you've got to be out there.
Yeah. So some of that equipment that you mentioned that you bought way back when, what equipment are you using today then?
Well, my main conservation tool is the batwing mower.
Okay.
We have to look after the woody stem bushes and trees that develop in this conservation land. That's one thing. You know, we do a little bit of spot spraying. We've tried to use as little herbicide as possible.
Yeah.
But we do some spot spraying, but the bush hog, the mower, rotary cutter is the best tool on the farm right now for managing that. And of course, we've got our hay equipment. We have to make hay for the cattle. So that's our main line of equipment right now.
You have a lot of balls you're juggling every day then.
Yeah.
So what's that like for both of you?
Well, I'll let you talk about your part.
Well, I have an 8 to 5. I have an 8:30 to 4 job in town.
Uh-huh.
So I get up and get off to work, and I usually give him. He might have a few things for me to do every day, but those get pushed off to the side if there's a cow having a calf or something like that. So
she was out there last night opening gates so I could feed cattle. So she gets involved, especially like when we're working cattle. I always say, we get ready to load calves. They'll give me problems loading them, but as soon as Candy comes out there, they get on the trail.
I swear.
I call her my cowgirl.
I walk over there to that barn, and I walk up, and they all just...
She's a natural herder.
She's a cowgirl. She grew up with it, and she's a cowgirl. They won't give her any trouble.
Yeah.
They know they're dealing with the master there.
All right. So it's a lot of work, a lot of maintenance and all that, but something must be a really bright spot to keep you out here and keep you going. What is it?
It's rewarding from a standpoint of the grain farming. Being able to plant a crop, nurture it, watch it grow, ultimately harvest it, market it. Every piece of that to me was exciting. And of course today, like I say, we manage this conservation land with wanting to leave the land better than we found it. And that's our main goal. And we try to be good stewards of the land. That's what we try to do.